Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Thursday Talks. I'm Jillian Laudano. For those of you who don't know me, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I have an amazing guest for you guys tonight that you're going to love. She has some really cool things she's going to share with us tonight. Her name is Sheila Tillich, and I'm going to bring her on for you guys to meet her. Sheila, let's get you on.
All right.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic. Awesome.
I love to hear it. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy you're on tonight. I love what you do. I'm going to introduce you really quick. If some of you guys have read what I wrote about already, Sheila does a lot of really cool things. I'll just name a couple, and then you could elaborate. But universal master healer, energy healer, evidential medium, metaphysical minister, IET, master trainer. Oh my God, there's so many things. I'm forgetting. There's so many great things. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you started on this journey of energy healing and helping others and helping people find their life's purpose?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jillian, for having me. I'm just very excited to be here. And, my journey is about my own self-discovery of my own abilities, but also who I am as a soul or divine person. And it actually started back 36 years ago when I was just very unhappy. And my holistic business or my practice dealt with how I self-healed myself, how I went through the actual process. And through that, my own life purpose came out. And my abilities as far as being able to tune into spirit and how it affects our lives. So that is basically, in a nutshell, it was my own recovery work that I had to do about things that I was very unhappy with my life and that I needed to change.
Nice. Love that. Love that a lot. So you had told me when we chatted in the past about all the cool things that you do, and you seem to really be able to help people. So you took your own journey and turned it into helping other people. So I love that. That's really amazing. And I hope people watching tonight are going to check out your website and see all the cool things that you offer, because there's so many people that could use the things that you offer. And well, another interesting thing, and I know there's always skeptics out there, and you told me you yourself were a little bit of a skeptic, and you told me about heart math and how that really helped you in your skeptical mind. Can you talk about what heart math even is?
Oh, absolutely. So let's back it up a little bit. I was in modern healthcare for many years. And of course, so I have the scientific brain, and I am very skeptical. You have to show it proof scientifically. So I wanted numbers, and I wanted actually data, evidential proof to prove that it worked. And so my own self-healing came, and it was through the angels of the IET with the DNA. And when I heard about heart math, I realized that I was already doing it. But I needed scientifically to prove how I was doing it. So as time went on, I looked into heart math and found that it was measurable data, meaning that it was scientifically based, and it was through the Heart Math Institute in California and also Princeton University. And basically, heart math is actually a technique that deals with stress and trauma, and it's also about building self-resilience against stress and trauma. And the cool thing about it is that it's all about your frequency and how you can actually change the chemistry of your body without any drugs or anything. And it's all through your heart center. It's through your love and compassion that we all have. And that's the biggest gift. And that's the biggest tool that we have, is living our lives through love and compassion. So I was already actually energy healer through integrating energy therapy. And I also was already on the Cryon team. And most of the people on the Cryon team were involved with heart math. And when I looked into it, I said, this is what I'm already doing with IET. So heart math is done through a technique where you connect your emotions from your heart center, a feeling of appreciation, joy, gratitude, things that you really love, things that bring you joy.
Yeah.
Right. So you center that in your heart space. You go to your heart and you center that. And what you do is you make the connection between your heart and your brain. And as you breathe, and just normal breathing, you don't have to do anything, like a lot of the different types of breathing that we can do. It's the thought. It is the compassion in your heart that makes the connection in your brain. And when you do that, what happens is that you actually change your heart rate variability rate, which means it makes it be just like a baby, very, very coherent. So we say heart coherent. You make it very peaceful and serene. Go back to it was when you were a baby. So you can actually do that through your breathing. You can change your rhythm of your heart, which of course it affects every area of your body, from your blood pressure to your hormones to, of course, all your emotions, your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So, and it was actually validated as far as the energy that it was putting out through many, many scientific ways. And that's what really perked my interest. So HeartMath started in 1991. And during that time, they put geomagnetic machines in the earth. And they started measuring the frequencies of the earth. Right? So energy is frequency.
Yeah.
Energy is also consciousness, which means it's out into the field. And so what you think is what is in the field.
Yeah.
And if you project loving thoughts and love from your heart, you emanate out a frequency, a high loving frequency. And so these geomagnetic machines that they put in the actual ground all over the world since 1991 picks up the frequency of our emotions and compassion.
Yeah.
So they actually proved it during 9/11. And they proved it before 9/11 when we had the mining accident down in Mexico, when we had the 33 miners. And what those machines showed is that the frequency went so high when that time was going on. Matter of fact, about 15 minutes before the towers were hit, the frequency started going up. All right. In other words, the energy that us humans were experiencing was starting to come out. Now, how does that happen, you say? It didn't even happen?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the energy and the physics part, okay? So we don't need to go into that, but what we do need to go into is when the towers hit. And almost for 2 full days afterwards, those geomagnetic machines registered high frequency, which is about all the compassion that all of us had whenever we looked at the TV and we seen that. Our love and our compassion went out for people. So I'm sorry. So I already tapped into it. That's what I do with energy work too. I tap into the frequency of the heart center compassion. So it was awesome to actually prove that. So HeartMath Institute and Princeton University proved that energy is compassion. It's out into the field. Energy is out in the field, and it can change your frequencies. So HeartMath actually changes your frequency in your body to keep your heart coherent, which is that beautiful rhythm of peace.
Yeah.
It's an easiest way to explain it instead of going to the real scientific stuff.
Yeah.
But I like to keep it very simple so that people can relate to it with their feelings.
Yeah. And on your website, I noticed there was something on there that if people wanted to learn more about HeartMath, that was something that they could subscribe to, right? And you had something that could show them.
Well, absolutely, a HeartMath technique. And actually, if you click on there for a free PDF, how to shift into compassion in a heartbeat, that's what they can get. And that is the first technique in HeartMath. We have actually 5 techniques. And the first one is about how do you make a heart coherent connection. It's very easy to do. So then get that free on my site. Absolutely.
Nice. Okay.
And now the coolest thing about HeartMath,
Yeah.
I really have to, because this is where the energy comes in, is that the 5 different techniques, the top technique actually opens up your consciousness field.
Wow.
To a higher vibration.
Yeah.
Right. And really connect in with the frequency of the love that's out there. On an energy modality, that's exactly what we do. We connect in the heart higher consciousness field to heal, at least with the quantum healing that I do.
Yeah.
I also do Reiki too. I'm a Reiki master, but I actually specialize in integrated energy therapy, which is about higher frequency violet quantum energy with your DNA.
Yes.
And then I also, I'm a practitioner for unity field healing, which is a higher frequency than IET.
Yeah.
And that deals more on your Akashic lifetimes and stuff like that. So
Wow.
Would you like me to explain the difference between the two?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because
Right.
I'm very familiar with IET, but not as much with unity field healing. And maybe some of our viewers maybe have never heard of unity field healing either. Reiki, I feel like a lot of us have heard. And some are starting to hear more of IET, which I'm thrilled about because that's my favorite. But yeah, I would love to hear the difference between these.
Okay. Well, what I like to teach is the DNA part of it. All right. So, of course, we know IET is, well, maybe some people don't know, but IET is done with healing angels of the energy field.
Yeah.
And each of those angels have actually part in different areas of your body. Yeah. But IET is about the actual DNA, your energetic potential as a soul, meaning what are you here for? Yeah. All right. And a lot of people don't make that correlation. They think of the angels, but IET is about the 12 spiritual strands, all right, and the frequencies of those strands. So IET is about the issues in the tissues, right? Releasing the trauma without the drama. And that really helped me understand it through all the trauma that I went through in my own home, my own life, all my life. And to understand that those blockages were deep and that they needed to be released before I could go on to be able to do what I needed to do. And they were stopping me. So IET deals with the issues in the tissues and helps you heal those past issues and then move on in your life to find your purpose. Now, unity field healing is more of this new energy that we have here now. And I actually am a teacher of that, this new energy, the difference between the two. And it's not like it's bad or good or whatever. It's a different frequency. And there's a big reason why. And it's scientific, by the way. So unity field is about your 24th frequency, okay, which is in your DNA, which is multidimensional. You cannot see it yet. Okay. Just like heart math, actually prove that energy is frequency and frequency is in the consciousness field. Well, the multidimensional DNA is going to be shown very shortly. So, so the 24th is about all your lifetimes that you had before, all the wounds from your lifetimes that you had before. And also it's about calling upon those lifetimes, the positive part about it, and healing yourself now by tapping into your 24th chromosome. Wow. Isn't that awesome?
Sounds amazing. Sign me up.
I know, but that's what I love. And I am so proud and humbled to be taught by Dr. John Ryan, who is the developer of IET. of Unity Field Healing. Sorry about that. And he's also on the Cryan team family with me. So he is a doctor from Ottawa, Canada. He has a medical practice, and he's also a holistic practitioner. So he's got great credentials, and he's a wonderful, humble soul. And I was actually the second American to actually be taught Unity Field Healing. And now, because of COVID, we have been able to do this all over the world as far as teaching it. So, but COVID, COVID it has changed everything.
Yeah.
It has changed everything. The possibilities, for all of us to heal in such a profound way. It's here.
Yeah.
It's all about tapping in your divineness. Why you're here. What are you here for? And then live in the joy that you can have. But of course, you have to do the work. And that's where a lot of us, we know we're unhappy. We don't know why we're unhappy. And that's where I come in as far as, okay, let's take a look at that. And I do use all my spiritual tools in my kit. Yeah. And my life experience is the big one. the biggest one, because that's the heart connection.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that. I've been through trauma my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually come from a family of 10, and there's only 2 of us left.
Oh,
So I've had tragedy since I was 15 years old when my father died. And then 3 years later, my younger sibling, my brother, a year and a half younger than me, committed suicide. You know, I've had siblings that killed in a car accident and many life-threatening diseases, you know, so I've had a lot, which has enabled me to be able to tap into my abilities. I'm also a hospice worker. I've done hospice work since the 90s when I was in nursing school. And that was because of the abilities that I had. Would you like me to share a little bit about that?
Yes, I would. I mean, here, let me just give you one quick thing. My mother was in hospice before she passed, and I'm going to tell you, people that work at hospice are very special people. I've never met any group of people like that in my life. So I could see where you, with all of these gifts that you have, would have been or are amazing in that setting, and I'm sure help so many people. But I would love to hear a story. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the story begins with my childhood, as far as being able to hear, see, and talk to angels. And I am hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids, and I've always been hard of hearing since I was born. It's in my family. It's nerve ending damage. They always say, "How did it happen?" And I could hear and talk to angels, but I was brought up in the Catholic faith, and the nuns told me I could have a guardian angel, but not hear angels or talk to them. So that kind of squashed me for a long time. However, they've always been with me. Fast forward through my life, they've always been for me, but I didn't acknowledge them. I pretended that I didn't hear them. About 36 years ago is when I started going through recovery work because I was so unhappy. You know, I wasn't happy in my marriage. And the catalyst for it all was my children. Is because I came from a very dysfunctional home. My childhood, both my parents were active alcoholics. I will tell you that I am so grateful for that now.
Wow.
Is because it is just a symptom. It's not the cause. There's a lot of reasons for diseases and why people have different type of behaviors, right? But what it did, it allowed me to see now through my healing, the compassionate part of my parents, that they did the best they could.
Yeah.
However, because of that, I had a lot of issues in my tissues that I carried through my adult life. And I didn't want it to happen to my children.
Wow.
And so I knew I needed to do something. So what I did is I put myself in recovery programs. First in 1985 for codependency. And then 8 years later, I came out of denial about my own alcoholism. So I actually started doing the work on myself and saying, I knew that if they needed to have a chance, I needed to do something first. So that's where a lot of my life experiences and challenges come into play, and understanding, you know, the programming that we had and the things that limit us from walking in our magnificence. And that's why when I actually got into recovery, I decided to go back to school because I always wanted to be nurse midwife. Went back to school and started all the science stuff, and it just absolutely loved all that stuff. And it allowed me to tap into that frequency, that compassion, you know, the caregivers have. You know, we have the intuition, we have the caring, we have the love. And when I was in nursing school in the 90s, I started doing hospice work for my curriculum. And that's when the angels and loved ones started talking to me, and I couldn't deny it anymore.
Wow.
So that's when, you know, I could see things and I could communicate with their souls while they were still in the body, but outside of the body, which I also did that with my brother just a year ago when he passed. So that's a whole nother story. That would be something that you could have me on. I could tell the whole story on that one.
Yeah.
But I was able to tap into the actual patient, the person that was getting ready to transition, them outside of their body, and their relationship and all the loved ones that came to them, which was cool. So that was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I was still going through my own transition of the marriage and unhappy and stuff like that. So I did not finish my nursing. I had 3 years for my nursing. However, God had other plans for me. So the reason is that in my 3rd year, I actually ripped the hamstring out of my right leg.
Oh, God.
I just missed a step and I ripped it. And they said I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, that I had it really bad. So because fibro deals with stress, it's emotional disorder that goes inward. I took the time off. And during that, I worked at Wegmans, and then I did home care hospice.
Oh, okay.
And and then because that was, I love hospice.
Yeah.
And then I was able to school for phlebotomy. And I ended up working in phlebotomy for one of the major hospitals. And my nursing schooling, my education really came into handy because 8 years into phlebotomy, I ended up being recruited to go on the expert IV team at the hospital.
Wow.
So I was the top bloodsucker in the hospital. But
That's funny.
Yeah, but what that allowed me is I had many roles, from teaching others how to draw blood. But the thing is that my abilities came through in all areas of medicine, but also my fascination with science.
Yeah.
And it was through my own healing where I started to recognize that I had these abilities and I could not ignore them anymore. I was always into metaphysical stuff, books, but I wouldn't tell anybody because in the 80s I was a church secretary. And so I kept it on the side, but all my siblings were into it, and I was saying they were nuts and I was ignoring them. But what happened was I finally took the blinders off and I stepped into my divineness. And since then, I've totally healed myself from fibromyalgia and some other disorders too. And it's been a journey. The mediumship came before the IET came. All right. So I was already an evidential medium before IET came into play. But as soon as I heard about it, I have always had the connection with angels. I've done angel card readings for over 35 years.
Yeah.
And I knew that was for me. And I fought it to the very end as far as having IET take over my life. Let's put it that way. I wasn't going to teach or anything, but my soul's purpose knew. And the angels pushed me and they told me, I asked them, how am I going to do this? And they said, you teach what you know because you've lived it. Wow. So that's how the journey started in 2013. And IETs from there. And then many other things have opened up in my life. So I know it's a lot to share, but
no, this is great. I love the backstory because it gives so much more insight into all of these things that you do. And one other thing I wanted to say to the viewers watching, back to what we said about heart math, is Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza. These are names you guys hear a lot. And
Greg Braden.
And who was that?
Greg Braden.
Greg Braden.
He's the one that's really heart math. The other ones, we all do my heart math. Yeah.
Yes. But they talk about it a lot because I listen to both of them a lot on YouTube. I love both of them. I just finished reading one of Bruce Lipton's books, and that term gets thrown around a lot. So you guys might have heard it before, and this was a nice explanation of what it actually is. And there are techniques that you can connect. And to me, I feel like you said, it goes very hand in hand with IET because you're working in your heart space and you're working with compassion and love. It also has meditation in it with the breathing techniques. But like you said, it is measurable, which for all the people out there that need that component, because there's a lot of things that are out there that people dabble in or dip their toe in, but they still want the proof. So heart math has all of that, right? And
exactly, heart math does. And there's many other things, modalities that are bringing the proof forward as we go forward. That's what this new energy is all about. And I absolutely love it.
I love that. Can you tell us, you mentioned the new energy. Could you talk for a minute about that and what that actually means for people listening? Because a lot of people have heard that people are talking about 5D or transitioning or different things are shifting. Can you just give us a brief synopsis on what that even means?
I will try to, because that's a big subject. But basically, what has happened since 2012, all right, since the Aboriginal, and it's been prophesized through all the books is something was going to happen.
Yeah.
What happened was the actual shift of consciousness. The consciousness field started to change, and it affects our magnetic field of our body. All right. That's what heart math is too. That's a big key right there. And since 2012, many things, energy portals around the earth have actually opened up and are starting to emanate a frequency that's higher, right? So when people talk about 3D or 5D or whatever, we're shifting, whatever, what does that mean? It has a lot to do with astrology. It has to do with the magnetic field of the earth and how it affects our physical body. But it also affects the consciousness field around us. And there's actually 3 parts to the consciousness field, and it's called the crystalline grid. And the grid is, the top part is the actual torrid of the energy magnetic field around the earth. And you can see that in NASA when they show the torrid, right? Also, that's how our heart beats too, when we talk about gravity and stuff like that. So that's the first crystalline grid. And then the other crystalline grid is around your body, which is called your Merkaba or your Merkaba. And that's the energy field that's around you. That's the field that we do all energy work with. And it's also where everything you've ever experienced is in your Merkaba. And it's actually 26 feet wide. It's not just 5 feet like an IET, but it's actually 26 feet wide where you can measure it. And you can do that with dowsing rods. You can do, there's a whole bunch of ways of proving that. So then the other crystalline grid is in Mother Earth, is the Gaia. And that's the connection where the frequency where you walk and the elements and how we're so connected. That's why when we have energy shifts, like now we're in Mercury retrograde. Oh my goodness. I've had so many computer problems. Everybody
Me too.
So that's where that has to do. That has to do with this grid, this magnetic field that's different now. However, where they come into play with the shift of consciousness is that now we are connected multidimensionally by that 24th chromosome that I was telling you about, right? So that's where things have become awakened because the frequency has allowed that to happen. So when we talk about the 24th chromosome, we're talking about a multidimensional frequency that is out there that we're tapping into. And a lot of people say, well, I'm in the 5D, anything that's out of 3D where you can, it's not seen. Multidimensional is a dimension that you can't see, you can feel, right? But you can't see. All right, so I'm a metaphysical minister, a metaphysician, where I teach about energy, the frequencies, the higher and lower, and also the perspective of metaphysics. What does that mean? It's about the physics of the universe and the energy, and then as us as humans. So your energy field has a lot to do with this frequency, what's happening. And a lot of people are saying, I'm opening up my consciousness, making the connection. What they're doing is that they're bringing the energy from Mother Earth all the way up to the galaxy and back through their magnetic field, through their chakras, yes, but there's more than just a chakra. So IET is the cellular memory map, but most people know, 7 major chakras up and down your body. So they understand that, and they know that when they go into meditation, they feel like they're open and expanded, they're in a different dimension. So that shift of consciousness is about that field of ours opening up and tapping in to say, I don't know whether that's going to suit me. That's where coming into change in your life, making different decisions. Is something comfortable for you? It's not comfortable for you. Are you going to continue in the job that you hate? Well, no, but now you have a way of changing, but you have to tap into that field of consciousness and make the changes. Right? So all of this energy frequency has changed, and it has to do with astrology. It has to do with the planets lining up in 2012 and how it affects the magnetic field of the earth and why we are changing. And I also have a lot of practitioners that have been practicing forever. And they said, a lot of them have come to me that it's not the same. They don't have the abilities, they're whatever. What has happened is that they're still trying to do the work in the old frequency. They're not tapping into the new frequency. That's the difference. Once you tap into the different frequencies, it's a whole different ball game. And so that's where the programming changes. As you guys change the program, you change your life. I'm talking Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and all these guys, okay? But that's what it is that the programming that you had limits you from moving on. And because that's tradition, right? That's what we've been told. That's our linear mind. We got to have proof. Show me proof.
Yeah.
And really, it's about the divineness that you have inside, the ability that you have inside as a soul. You know, most people believe, you know, that we have a soul. That when we die, there's more to us than just physical body. That's our soul. That's our innate, right? But that's also our multidimensional abilities and who we really are.
Yeah.
So that's where the Lemurian sisterhood comes in.
I wanted to talk to you about that because I'm not familiar with that at all.
Well, I know that's why this is a good way of bringing that in here. So kind of slip that in a little bit, right?
Well, I saw that on your website, and I don't really know anything about that. And it said that you're a global host for this. What does that even mean? What for the viewers watching that have never heard? I mean, including myself, have never heard of the Lemurian Sisterhood. What is that, and what do you guys do?
Okay, all right. So we're going to back it up a little bit. Remember I told you about that 5D people? All right, that's the awakening. Okay, people are starting to realize that there's more to life than just this. So the Lemurian Sisterhood is about us returning to our multidimensional first lifetime as humans.
Wow.
With this spiritual divineness inside of us. And it was done in Lemuria. And a lot of people think that it's a fable, that it's a mystical, it's not real, but it was. And there's a lot of proof in that. There's been a lot of research done on that too. But a lot of people are starting to become aware of things that they can't explain. A lot of women, okay, of course, a lot of us know women are a little bit more intuitive than men, you know, and that's we're designed to do that, you know. And Lemuria is about when humanity was balanced and how we first started. And the Lemurian Sisterhood is about women stepping into their feminine divineness, awakening to who they really are.
Yeah.
Okay, as souls. And it's also about helping balance the male frequency, the male and the female energy of the earth, balancing it all out.
Yeah.
So the Lemurian Sisterhood came through channels. So the Lemurian Sisterhood is through the Cryon family, which resonated with channeler Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon. And Cryon is a scientist. And matter of fact, Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, all those guys are on the team. So they go around and they have been teaching all this stuff for years, right? So the stuff that you hear when you hear about heart math and stuff like that, this is part of us as divineness, who we are.
Yeah.
And we teach this. So the Lemurian Sisterhood came when the entity Cryon, which is a loving God entity, okay? And this is actually channeled by a gentleman named Lee Carroll, who actually wrote the book Indigo Children. So a lot of people know who that is. And he has been channeling Cryon for 31 years. And as we have been going forward in this shift of consciousness, he's been telling stuff that was going to happen and helping us come to our core spirituality, who we really are. And it has expanded upon. Since 2012, this has been opened, and he has been able to tap in to the actual Akashic lifetime of one of the members on the team, and that is Dr. Amber Wolf. And her husband, Sid Wolf, was on the Cryon team for many years before, and he passed in 2013. After he passed in 2013 is when the Lemurian Sisterhood was developed. And it's about women connecting with this frequency and their divineness as women, helping humanity heal.
Yeah.
All right. So I was involved with some other things before Cryon came into my life. But I always remember hearing the word. My brother, who passed in actual 2012, he told me about Cryon in the early 90s. And he was involved with metaphysics and stuff. And at that time, I wasn't ready to listen.
Yeah.
But in about 2014, 2015, I started listening to him, and I said, I know this stuff. How do I know this? So I found out more about Cryon, started going to the workshops, got all of his books. And then in 2016, God, Spirit, the angels, told me that I was going to be part of this big network of women globally, you know. So I actually became a host for the Lemurian Sisterhood 4 years ago. And these are women all over the world who have tapped into their divineness and that they're following their spiritual purpose. Right? All walks of life, all denominations, all over the world. And so we are leaders to help women tap into their divineness and to live their life.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's beautiful.
yeah. So we actually have a book about the women's, but the women of Lemuria. Would you like to see the book?
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'm gonna write, and I'll link this book in the comments too.
Okay, wonderful. So this is the book that Monica Morani and actually Dr. Amber Wolf actually wrote together, and it's about 3 years old now. All right, and it kind of tells the story, and this is all from the channels of Cryon telling us about it. All right, and if you look in the back here, this is actually Dr. Amber Wolf and Monica Morani. So Monica Morani is the historian for the Cryon team. All right, and she is also Lee Carroll's partner in life. And we also have a Healing Wednesday Circle of 12 for Humanity. So that was something that you could look on when you go to cryon.com. That could be a whole nother subject, but we don't have that much time for all that stuff. But Cryon is a 11 entity that is here to help humanity. And he talks about the frequency and about the multidimensional part of who we are. And many, many top scientists are on his team talking about this consciousness field, how it affects us, what does it mean. And also Dr. John Ryan is on the Cryon team. He has been hosting Cryon events for over 15 years. All right. So Dr. John Ryan started having his own experiences, and that's how Unity Field actually became developed. Where he was able to tap into his own divineness, and actually through his own experiences, they told him what to do, and that's how Unity Field came into play.
Wow.
It's about this higher energy that's here.
Yeah. This is super interesting. And you know what this is making me think of when you're talking about this, Cryon makes me think kind of like with Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks. She channels as well, and we refer to it as Abraham, right? Anybody who's an Abraham Hicks follower or fan, I know I am. So this kind of reminds me of this, because you're saying Lee Carroll is the person, but he's channeling Cryon, right? Just like Esther Hicks is the person, she's channeling Abraham. Same kind of concept. So I would love to check it out. I'm very open, and I like to learn everything I possibly can. So I would love to check it out. I've never read anything by Lee Carroll before about this, but I would totally check it out and see. And I could link, like I said, guys, I could link this stuff in the comments if anybody was interested in seeing it or reading any of this. But another thing I want to ask you is, I noticed on your website that you had a group, the Lightworkers Connection.
Yes.
What is that about?
I'm the founder of the Lightworkers Connection, and actually Spirit, the angels, the Star Mothers, all right, actually had me start a group in April for the Lightworkers. This group is about connecting our energy and staying positive and staying out of the fear and the drama of especially this pandemic has caused, and to go into your light. You know, as a light worker, a lot of people say, what's a light worker? A light worker is anybody that loves. Anybody that loves. And many people are recognizing that they have a lot of compassion, you know, and they have abilities or intuitive or empaths or whatever. That's a light worker, right? And so this is the time where light workers are needed to help put the compassion and love out there to humanity. So the light workers group is all men and women from all over the world who come together. We come together once a week, and we actually share each other's lives. We stay in the frequency of love and positivity, no fear, no drama. The difference is that we help each other, we bond, we nurture, and it's a safe environment. It's a closed community.
Yeah.
Right. So it's safe. It's not shown to the public. I do tape the actual gatherings for the members, the ones who cannot come, that they can actually get it so that they feel connected. And I also have a private Facebook group for Lightworkers Connection Circle. Okay. So I call it a circle is because this energy around about Mother Earth, the energy around is we are all one. All right, the circle of one, and the frequency is there. So this is a circle of love, a circle of light workers shining their light, coming from compassion and love, and living their lives, and getting the support of other ones just like them. So
that sounds great. I mean, it's like the Beatles song, "All we need is love," right?
Well, it is. It is. It really is. Love and compassion is the essence of God. Remember, I'm the metaphysical minister here, so
yes,
love and compassion.
It really changes everything. It changes
yourself first. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there you just hit the nail on the head with that one. I think with this new energy that we're having, my hope is people start going into that space of loving themselves, connecting with themselves more, building relationships with themselves, which is partly why I'm doing my coaching practice that I'm doing, is to help people connect with themselves and build a beautiful relationship to therefore make every relationship going forward that much stronger. But it really starts with yourself. So that's my hope for everything going forward, is people really connect with themselves and begin to love themselves. I love everything that you're talking about. I think it feels good because it comes from a place of love and compassion. And that is universal language, as we know. I know I keep going back to heart math, but it blows my mind because we always think the brain communicates everything. But in this, it's been studied, has shown, I can't even speak right, that the heart actually sends signals to the brain, just like the brain sends signals to the heart.
Yeah. And how they prove that, all right, and I don't know whether you know the story or not, but how they proved it is a death of a little girl, about 8 years old. And what happened is that she was murdered, and that her heart went into another little girl, and the little girl that had her heart started having nightmares. And the nightmares and the actual words and the face of the actual person that murdered her came to play, and they actually persecuted him. And they were able to show that the frequency from her heart had the memories, all right, that the other human was able to verify it. So it's profound. This is all scientific stuff now. This is all proved stuff. And Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton tells that story quite a bit too. Yeah. How we know that, and scientifically, they're all scientists. That's what it's all about. And the same with Dr. Ryan. Dr. Ryan wrote the book, The Missing Pill, and then it was talked about what Unity Field is, but it's about the bio-spiritual transformation that's happening. That's the higher consciousness 5D. Yeah, that's what crying is all about. Esther Hicks is about our love and compassion about each other. Like the Course in Miracles and that type of stuff. It's about us as humans. The science is about the higher frequency that's here now, and that's the Cryon team. That's the science and spirituality about proving. And like Lynn McTarget, she's also on the team. Lots of them are on. That people don't realize it, but they do their own thing, just like I'm doing my own thing. And they're doing their own thing. But we're all connected through the heart, compassion, and love, and that's what humanity is all about.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And the book that you were just showing, The Women of Lemuria, I will link that in the comments. But we were talking about another book that I think that's the one that you have now, something that we were talking about, something that really impacted you. And that one that's by John Ryan, Unityfieldhealing. Okay.
Yeah, that's Dr. John Ryan. Mm-hmm. And this is about the bio-spiritual transformation of a human, which means about them tapping into this field and how it affects their body. And then the energy field is about, the negative and positive. And when you look at the actual template, this is a Unity Field template. Mm-hmm. You see the yin and the yang. Yeah. Okay? But when you talk about duality and the frequency, mm-hmm. it's about how lower frequency and higher frequency.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you got the 2, and then you got the frequency, and it kind of represents the macabre, the energy coming in from the universe, and the
Yeah.
energy coming back in from Mother Earth, and the connection. Aboriginal people, indigenous people talked about there was going to be, the condor and the eagle was going to come.
Hmm.
And basically the Kundalini rising. And that was when the north and the south frequencies were going to come together, of course, in the heart center, which we know with
Yeah.
heart math. But it is about this awakening of this multidimensional frequency that we have, our spiritual divineness that has become awakened, and it's in the field. That's when all these new things are happening. So this is what Unity Field is all about, is connecting with that field, the higher frequency, lower frequency, and the multi-dimensional 24th frequency. Yeah, it's awesome.
No.
It's just, and how we can heal and go in. And I love it. So I do distant healing. Of course, I do in-person healing.
Yeah.
And I also am a teacher for integrated energy therapy. I'm a trainer for the masters. I can teach all levels, and I teach the masters too. But I love what I do is because, energy is energy, and I can tap into anywhere. And that's the whole key. People don't realize that you can make that connection just through the voice or just thinking of somebody.
Yeah.
So a lot of my, my clients, I don't want to say patients anymore, even though I'm so used to saying that, but my clients are distant healing, and a lot of people prefer that.
Yeah.
And you get the same results. And sometimes, matter of fact, my in-person clients actually like the distance healings. They experience both, but they realize it's so powerful that it gets right in there too.
So that's great to know for our viewers watching, if because again, I've never heard of Unity Field Healing till I learned it from listening to, the videos that you had showed me on your website. And it sounds really amazing and interesting. And knowing that you could do it remotely, anybody watching in the world, if they wanted to try it, I mean, healing modalities are where it's at, if you ask me. And I've healed myself of things. I was supposed to have hip surgery in March. It got canceled because of COVID, and knock on wood, I feel great. But I do IET on myself every day, so I don't know. But
I do both together, by the way. I do,
okay.
because a lot of people say, I just want Unity Field. They hear about it. Okay, so we start with that. But a lot of them, they really don't understand what the dynamics is, what the actual healing is. And IET is more about the human stuff and understanding you.
Yeah.
And by bringing them together, when you train, that's different. You do 3 different levels of Unity Field, just like IET has 3 different levels too. But because my frequency and what I do is that I actually will tap into the person, talk with them, of course, and decide on which spiritual tools we're going to use. All right. And usually what I do is I combine Unity Field with IET. It's profound.
Yeah.
That's my word that I say. And I've been coined by saying that. And John has given me credit for being the person who talked about being profound, but it's profound when you put all the energy together, just like, many of us do the Reiki. You don't stop being a Reiki master. The energy is there flowing through you. So it is profound. And I do customers all over the world, Australia, over in Germany, over in Russia, and of course all of America, and then in person. So I love it.
Well, guys, if you want to connect with Sheila, I have her website up on here too. I'm going to link all this in the comments because I know it's easier just to click on a link, right? So here's her website, and all of these things we talked about are on here. She also has a YouTube channel that I'm going to link that as well. And we have that one on here too, if you want to check her out on YouTube. I know I'm a big YouTube fan. I watch videos all the time. So for me, I always go straight to YouTube. But you have another Facebook group that you had mentioned to me before. It's the Lemurian Sisterhood Facebook group too. So there's another one if anybody's curious to hear more about that. But again, like I said, this will all be linked in the comments below. And I'm also going to link these books that Sheila mentioned too for any of my readers out there, which we all know that I'm a big one. So I can't wait to check them out. But yeah, I want to just thank you so much for being on tonight. This was really cool to learn about these things I had never even heard of before. And it was very insightful. And I thank you so much for being here.
I am so glad. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to meet you, meet all your people, the audience, and that I was able to help. It's all
Yes.
about us joining together, networking and helping humanity.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thank you
And
so
guys,
much.
oh, I'm sorry. I have like a delay on my side and I feel like I keep there's a lag, so sorry about that. But guys, you know what? If anybody wants to connect more, don't forget about my Facebook group, Breathe and Balance. You can access it through Facebook, obviously Breathe and Balance, or if you do it on the internet, you could just do breatheandbalance.live. And speaking of YouTube, like I just mentioned before about Sheila's channel, my YouTube channel, JillianLaudano.tv, I have all of my tapping videos on there, which I love, talk about energy healing modalities, EFT tapping, and meditation. It's all on there, free content. Be sure to check that out. And we'll be back next week with another great guest, new time, 7 o'clock. We used to be at 8 o'clock, but due to some things going on, I had to change it to 7. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again next week at 7 o'clock. And Sheila, thank you again for being on tonight. I'm so excited. And like I said, I'm going to get all this information linked on here. And I hope people reach out to hear about this because I feel like there's so much more that we could have talked about, but this interview would have ended up being really long, right? There's some really cool things. Check out her website, guys. There's amazing things on there. Really, really cool stuff. So thank you again for being here tonight, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And guys, I'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.